Maya Angelou had a difficult childhood. She was born in St. Louis in 1928 and raised in the segregated South. Her parents divorced when she was 3, and she and her brother were sent to live with their grandmother in Stamps, Arkansas. Angelou experienced racism and segregation growing up and was sexually abused by her mother's boyfriend at the age of 8. She was mute for 5 years, from age 8 to 13, and spoke only to her brother. Despite the challenges of her childhood, Angelou found solace in literature, music, and dance, which she credited with helping her to heal and find her voice. Maya Angelou was an American poet, author, and civil rights activist. She is best known for her highly acclaimed memoir I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, 1970, and her many volumes of poetry. Angelou's life was one of struggle and perseverance, and she used her experience to inform her writing. She was a strong advocate for civil rights and took a stand against racism, sexism, and homophobia. Her work has been a source of inspiration and motivation for millions of people around the world. Maya Angelou was married 3 times in her life. She first married a Greek sailor, Tosh Angelos, in 1951, and the two had a son, Guy. Her second marriage, to builder and former actor Paul Dufault, lasted from 1973 to 1981. Her third marriage was to writer and philanthropist, Drive. William L. Kilgore, in 1981. However, this marriage ended in divorce in 1983. Angelou was known to have a strong commitment to her relationships and friends, and it was reported that she loved the idea of being in a committed relationship. After 1950, Maya Angelou became increasingly active in the civil rights movement. In the early 1950s, she moved to New York City, where she worked as a freelance writer and editor for several magazines. During this time she wrote her first autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. In 1958, Angelou moved to Cairo, Egypt, where she worked as an editor for the African Review. In the early 1960s, Angelou met Malcolm X and joined the civil rights movement. In 1964, Angelou moved to Ghana, where she taught at the University of Ghana's School of Music and Drama. She also wrote 2 books while in Ghana, All God's Children Need Traveling Shoes and A Brave and Startling Truth. During her time in Ghana, Angelou was heavily involved in the civil rights movement, working closely with Pan-Africanist leaders Kwame Nkrumah and Gamal Abdel Nasser. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Angelou returned to the United States, where she continued to write and perform her poetry. She also worked as a college professor, teaching courses on African American literature and poetry. She was also an active participant in the civil rights movement, giving speeches. Maya Angelou was a poet, memoirist, civil rights activist, and educator. She was a groundbreaking figure in American literature, and her works explored the experiences of African Americans and women. Angelou was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2011 for her work in civil rights and literature. She was also active in the American civil rights movement, working alongside Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. She wrote several books, including her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which made her the first nonfiction best-selling African American author. Angelou was also a renowned public speaker and an advocate for literacy and education. Maya Angelou died on May 28, 2014 in her home in Winston-Salem, North Carolina due to complications from heart problems.